Hello and welcome back once again, and now what potentially could be our last time. We have CGA going down 1-2 in their last game. DFM taking that last one, now on match point to be able to take this series. And honestly, just two back-to-back fairly convincing games. It was CGA game one was fairly close, decently paced. DFM just came out on top of that one. Game two, they answered back hard. CGA had a great answer to the draft and had a great answer to DFM's new draft. That was actually a very interesting thing that CGA kind of I feel either overestimated their abilities or underestimated DFM in. Where in game two, they found a draft answer mid-draft, and in this one, they tried to pull off something similar, but it was just DFM made the right calls on what to ban away. The removal of Blitzcrank was really what I feel helped this game along for DFM greatly, and the adjustment to have a more aggressive jungler, something that can elicit a little bit more pressure, helped pay off a ton for DFM. So ball goes to CGA's court if they want to try and ban away Caitlyn, ban away the Nico, and put DFM onto something new, or if they're willing to let that pass over again. But this was honestly just a great performance from DFM to make the adjustments necessary and still come into the game with that same amount of fire. You hold nothing back against a team like CGA, and from very early on, it just felt like DFM were in firm control of that game. And you can just see here by the amount of pressure that Olaf has over Trundle. Why partially we haven't seen Trundle nearly as much in pro play is just doesn't quite keep up in farm pace with the likes of an Olaf, and with no hard tanks, CGA kind of feel a little bit behind the times with this hyper priority on Trundle, and it makes me wonder if Unica is kind of a hang up here that CGA need to address. Not saying that the Trundle is a bad option, but there are other junglers out there that are not being explored, and with no attention towards Lee Sin from either of these junglers, not opting into something like a Nidalee to be aggressive, or even Graves when it's up, I'm a little bit hesitant to see what CGA have in store, or if Unica is a limiting factor here. But we'll have to see how that comes about in this pick and ban here, and we're seeing a fairly familiar start to this one. DFM on the blue side once again, so CGA content with their red side pickup. So we'll see what they're able to make of it. I don't imagine CGA will be banning away Set here. It will just be a question for DFM if they want to give that one up. It's either Set or Caitlyn, really, that DFM are going to want to take here. And last time, the laning phase went a lot more in favor of DFM, as Udapon was able to use the Caitlyn and have all the pressure to do so. So, honestly, I would like to see a Caitlyn ban. I don't think Heimerdinger is worth banning, especially with options like Zoe and other poke options still available. The final ban will be deciding, and that's going to be a Nidalee banned away. Nidalee ban is a little bit interesting. DFM, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Gonna draft up the Caitlyn once again. And now CGA are kind of in a similar spot where a lot of jungler bans already given over. You can take Renekton, not a bad option. I was going to say you can take Jhin just to get the counter on to Caitlyn, just something that can kind of contend in that lane. But drafting up the Renekton into that top lane right away Maybe CGA are looking to shake things up, and with the Grays locked in for Unica, now DFM are kind of in a little bit of an awkward position where not a whole lot is shown just yet. In a lot of other, that's sort of the thing about LJL, is that having sort of early focus top laners never really indicates the rest of the draft, but maybe DFM are now the ones thinking about some team fighting options of their own, as Ornn being hovered there. Pops over to a Nico. It was actually a Nico all along, just in disguise, as Saros is going to be picking that one up again. Will we see the return of the Lux for that bot lane? Morgana is open, and Zyra is also open. A champion that has kind of had whispers about in the early end of the summer split. But it looks like DFM are going to take the Gnar pickup here so that they don't have to worry about it getting banned away. Is a decent matchup into Renekton. Can be somewhat susceptible early on, but ranged into melee is always a little bit more manageable. Is somewhat difficult in side lanes as well, so things to be on the minds of DFM, as that's going to be the Kalista locked in here. And now I'm a little bit worried for CGA, is locking in the Kalista right away can go one of two ways. Is either you will be rolling this bot lane, or you're going to end up eating a ton of poke damage, and banning away Morgana is going to be a great one. I actually wouldn't be surprised to see a Lux ban, as there's a lot of mages that can control a decent amount of space for CGA. Blitzcrank is also going to be banned away, so DFM seem fairly set in their ways. Are we going to see the perfect return on bans here if Bard is also going to hit the ban table for DFM? I don't imagine so. Likely we'll be seeing something, maybe even a Nautilus or a Thresh ban, to keep that out of the hands of Grendel. They can also ban away mid lane champions if they want. Maybe remove some options from Arya. Thresh is going to be picked up here. I'm curious to see if CGA... I imagine we'll see a support here. I wouldn't be surprised to see Leo or Nautilus. But I'm curious if CGA are thinking about drafting up something like a Sylas. Like we mentioned, Nico is a great abuser into melee matchups. So some of the things that Arya would otherwise be playing, like Sylas, like Kassadin even, or any of those brawly mid laners that he is so fond of, are kind of off the table once Nico gets picked up. So Bard is going to be picked up here as well. Offers a decent amount of zone control. The empowered autos slowing Arya is also nice. You don't get the same trap setups that you do with Lux, but is a pretty potent lane nonetheless. And there are a couple jungle options still available for Steel, as Lee Sin being hovered here. That was going to be the first one I mentioned, and it's going to be the one that Steel wants, so he'll be picking that one up for himself. Now Grendel with the last pickup here, mid laner for Arya. It's the only thing left to be picked, Akali. We've seen Arya's Akali before, and it looks like we're going to see it again. You can kind of get around the melee matchup part of the mid lane with Akali, just being able to toss out knives to CS. Is a little bit worrying, as it puts a large execution barrier on Arya. Not that he is somebody who can't overcome it. I actually think quite the opposite. But with the way these games have been going for CGA and some of the fights that they opt into, Akali is definitely a champion that is hard to come back on once you're on the back foot. So if CGA, do you have an early game comp, you can opt into a lot of early fights. You'll just kind of consistently need them to go your way. And I'm worried that bot lane might end up falling behind a bit. Especially one thing that we already kind of touched on a little bit is this matchup of Caitlyn into Callista. Having a Leona means you can go for the engages early, but can you all in into the face of a Bard? Bard does a decent bit of damage. We've even seen some Bards in the past take Electrocute and things like that to just have that potent laning phase. Guardian as well just adds so much extra shielding, which isn't super relevant into Callista specifically, just because she'll stack up the spears anyway. It's going to be a risky one, and I appreciate that CGA are willing to kind of hang it all on the line here as we're looking across the comps here once more. Anywhere that Unica is able to find influence and hopefully start bettering can easily start to snowball out of hand. But this could also easily be kind of this could easily blow up in CGA's face, and we could see a 3-1 coming out if DFM are not able to overcome this final challenge that they have in front of them. I think definitely one of the other parts about this comp is going to be this top lane matchup, as Evi is fairly decent at Gnar and staying safe in the top lane, so you wouldn't expect him to get blown up by Nap, but like we mentioned, everywhere Unica goes, he can have his influence, and for Steel, I imagine we'll be seeing him more around the bottom side, as he has a little bit more influence down there. Getting towards level 6 is not going to be too big of an issue for him, as, Unica is much less incentivized to play aggressively into Steel on the Lee Sin, but also just bullying out the jungle matchup is not Unica's MO in this kind of a game. So getting into lanes, getting access there is going to be a bit more important. Honestly, this is a game where I would have liked to potentially see Unica go for something either like a Sejuani or something that offers a little bit more CC to some of these ganks, especially when you're going to be trying to get Arya ahead on something like a Kali. But then also Sejuani synergizes so well with Renekton autos, and then you have Grendel who can auto Q for just quick frostbite stacks. But continued is kind of the trend that we don't often see tanks coming out in the LJL jungle. It's just sort of been something that's been passed over slightly across the split. I definitely don't think the Graves is bad here, but it always does worry me when you're trying to gank a lane that doesn't have a whole lot of CC to set you up. Top and mid are really going to be Unica's main points of attack for this kind of a game. So we get started up here.
LJL 2020サマースプリットプレーオフラウンド2マッチ2ゲーム4クレストゲーミングアクト vs デトネーションフォーカスミーの試合スタートです。
And as we get started right here into the match, everything you would fairly expect to see. Nothing too out of the ordinary. I do, of course, look at Gango on the Hail of Blades, so would honestly expect a little bit of early scrapping coming out from him. As well as Arya in the mid lane is going for the fleet footwork to help out on that melee into Nico matchup. It can be very rough to play out, especially as any time the Tangle Barbs land from the Nico, that's just so much damage that you just have to kind of hold. Nice thing is, though, is that you can opt into the... You can go for a D-Blade, or excuse me, a D-Shield start to hopefully try and mitigate a bit of that early poke damage, as Yutapon doing a Caitlyn impression. The amount of auto damage that you'll be getting off, you might as well be a Caitlyn in that mid lane. But both junglers going to be going buff to buff. It looks like going to be taking fast route to 3 as they'll be swapping up sides there. Nap can't be too aggressive early on because of that. But no tabs over on the enemy jungle right for now. CGA actually taking a very reserved opening stance on their wards. Evi did get one onto Unica in the jungle there, but CGA kind of holding their vision back for now is a little bit more surprising, as it will be bot lane warded up, and you just see the ping from Unica. It looks like he has plans to try and go over the wall of the dragon pit and then try to loop around from there, but Grendel's gonna start up the action early on here, chasing down Yutapon for a bit of damage. Ignite already ticking down. Now Yutapon can think about trying to walk back up to the wave, but this is a great bait from the side of CGA. You go for that trade, you make them just concerned more with the lane state than anything else, as Unica's continuing to try and loop around here. He wants to pick up a camp if he can, to just make sure he's not falling too far behind Steel while he waits. But Steel has already pathed back over to this side of the map. He's going for the full clear afterwards. As Unica's going to be able to grab that one. He might be on a collision course with Steel, but this gank might come out first. So they're going to make the call to go for it. Grendel's looking for an opportunity. That's going to be Unica who starts it up. Gango can't auto anything yet because nobody's tanking. They get greedy, trying to go over onto Yutapon. This is disastrous for the side of CGA, as Grendel's going to most certainly lose his life for this one. That was just disastrous from CGA. Just a bit too greedy not to just take the call to go onto Gang, where Gango's just eating all of the Bard damage and just eating auto after auto right in his face because he cannot get over to the Caitlyn, and everyone's still waiting to push that go button. And in those moments of hesitation, the rest of the team starts rotating in. Saros gets a teleport in, and things go belly up for CGA there. That is not how you want to be starting that one off, as Unica is trying to contest for crabs here, but he's going to end up getting doubled down on, unless Nap has anything to say about it. Stun is going to go on. He's going to go for the all-in here. Steel's going to flash away. Nap, ooh, the W shield not going to be enough to save him for now, as Evi going to try to trade him back there, and now should be able to get two, as Evi does not, or excuse me, Unica does not have enough stacks of grit. If Evi has the Q, looking for a boomerang snipe, he might be able to walk under turret for it. Nope, gonna miss out on that one. Ooh, the smoke screen actually almost slowed him long enough to take another turret shot, as now the teleport from Nap is coming in. He's going for it off the teleport move speed. Will he be able to? No, not quite, as Slice and Dice will not reach there. Nothing to dash reset off of means that Nap will unfortunately have to let Evi go. Was sort of a dangerous game, but DFM kind of learned firsthand why you shouldn't be too aggressive under turret after that mistake from CGA, and this is not a comp you want to start on the back foot. Already about 1,000 gold difference by 5 minutes. Things are looking a little bit grim, especially for Unica, who he got just set so far behind, because those are all the camps that you were not able to reset on your side of the map. So you are going to be losing out on the 4 through 6 spawns. And then to have the gank go belly up in the end means that now, as Steel is completing his second clear, he is getting so much further in experience. He'll actually hit 6 off of these next 2 camps, while Unica is still dealing with a lot of the level 1 camps. So XP advantage over the DFM, gold advantage over the DFM, they're sitting pretty for this one. For now, Unica's going to need to do everything he can just to try and keep pace in this game or find value on this bottom side. The problem is that Gango almost never has pressure in this lane to clear out those pink wards. So if ever they go for him, DFM can just turn onto it. And Gang will just have an easy escape here with that magical void. It's going to go for a little bit of harass in the meantime, but isn't too worried. And there it is, Steel already on to that level 6. Trying to keep tabs on the dragon in the meantime. Wants to make sure Unica isn't trying to get sneaky with it, but we'll see if CGA are going to start anything up. It would be a terrible time for them to do so, as Steel will show himself here. Grendel's going to go in, and Gango's going to try to make the most of it. He has the Fate Skull, so he can pull Grendel out whenever he'd like. Almost lets him down there, but had heal and ultimate available, so he wasn't too worried about his chances. But unfortunately, that will mean Grendel is a little bit too low HP, and honestly, Unica has no business even being this close to the Dragon Pit right now. He can punish Steel if he goes for a solo onto it, but Gango's going to be the one starting up the play right away. They're going to go all in onto Udapon. Exhaust is going to be going down here. Gango's going to flash forward, trying to finish this off. The Rend is not going to do enough, and Grendel no, not quite going to go down. He's going to be able to escape out the Q from the Bard there, but now walked back in there like he was going to make something happen, and unfortunately burns his flash for it. As the flash is going to come in from Gang, going to find the kill there. A solo for the Bard. The magical voyage is going to come out. The slow is on. Will they find anything else? No, not quite. No kick available, as Arya now is going to be the one who starts things off here. The Assassin's Way is going to be just honestly pulling up dividends for Arya. Ooh, almost flashes for the E. Will force the ward hop out from Steel. Honestly, a beautiful recovery from Arya in what was feeling disastrous for CGA. Finding those 2 kills might be what they need to get back into this one, while Unica is getting the Rift Herald on the other end of the map there. Might be a path back into this one as play starts up here. Steel just spends so much time soloing out Unica, and he can't unfortunately help his team. This was just an awkward play where CGA got caught in the middle. And Grendel flashes away while they're in full retreat. I don't mind this play from Gang. It was honestly, I was surprised that DFM were letting them out this far. But then going over the wall here was just asking a bit too much. Steel just a little bit too low HP. And Arya is not one to pass up on a time to try and capitalize. So Kali's going to be able to pick up a couple kills there, and hasn't been able to spin the gold yet, trying to just shove out the lane for now. But nice gold steroid over to him already. And now, WinCon presents itself for CGA. Arya, a very capable mid laner, like we've been talking about, is more than happy to take that kind of a gold lead, and hopefully start turning it into some of these fight wins, as the next few objectives they're going to be fighting over quite hard. The problem is really that Unica still being this far behind, he is starting to catch up now off of getting his next few rounds of spawns. The issue is just that every time he leaves for an objective, he risks falling further and further behind. He's going to spawn the Rift Herald up on the bottom side here. Steel will show himself with that Sonic Wave, but will ultimately just be paying for Gango's earlier mishaps. If the charge actually goes through, a lot of damage is already going down onto it. Almost gets it, and I kind of like what Steel tried to do there, but pressure required for the Drake as CGA scoop that one up. For now, CGA have really stopped the bleeding. Well, still maintaining, it's still 1,000 gold ahead on the side of DFM, but for now, CGA, you stop the bleeding. Now, looking to cause some of their own, but they've had a Steel waiting in the wings. The ultimate from the Bard is going to be perfect to get that one done. Gonna try to knock up Steel before he can get a kick opportunity, but will only be CC'd so long. Gango's actually going for the most here, but Udapon's going to be able to just gun him down in the end. that was just an awkward play. CGA knew that Steel was down there, but decided to go for that one anyway. Assuming he had backed away there was unfortunate for them, but speaking of unfortunate in this top lane, actually, a note for this top lane is actually seeing Nap go for Tiamat instead of going for the Bork component, and it looks like with that Ruby Crystal, he will be going for Black Cleaver, which is less in the damage department. Is a little bit nicer if the fights get brawly enough that he can stay alive. You know, you can go for some more tanky options, but doesn't help his split push out a ton against Evi. And ultimately is a lot less damage, so I'm very curious to see what Nap is going to be going for after. As we've kind of seen Tiamat's on Renekton's kind of fall off over the last few bits here. Does give him a decent amount of lane clear even if he can't grab all of those minions. Able to delete that wave kind of quickly. We are going into a pause here briefly while we are waiting for I believe a slight DC. The woes of on a line, as it were. Do want to take this time just while we are on a brief pause. Thank you, Crincy, for the follow. Appreciate you tuning in to the stream here. Getting your LJL education as we are on our way to Worlds, and DFM, of course, want to keep their chances at Worlds alive for the most part here. And we know we were just talking about Renekton a little bit in the top lane, and, you know, with the Tiamat versus going straight into your Bork items, it's a little bit... See, you get the attack speed from Borks, which does offer similar amounts of pushing power, so, you know, if you're really just looking to delete waves and then get to the action as soon as you can, it's not a bad option, but we are returning to the action very soon after, so a short pause before we're right back at it. As for now, DFM are slowly growing the gold lead. Teleports are coming in. This is looking like a brawl for the bot lane as Gang's gonna pop the ultimate to try and keep them safe under turret. Renekton goes forward. He should be able to find Udapon here, but Udapon's got some fancy footwork underneath him. That's going to be 2 kills over to the side of CGA, followed by a third, and most likely a fourth, as I don't think Evi has anywhere left to run. Steel, a little bit late to that party, and was not quite able to help that one out. And like we always say, don't mess with CGA in a team fight, as what better way for CGA to find themselves into this game and start peeling the gold in their favor than to just send 5 on it as hard as you can. Teleports come in, Gang throws the ultimate on the turret, and this felt like it wasn't exactly the best play. Sure, you're buying time for Saros to show up with the ultimate, but resetting the aggro there and leaving the rest of the members of CGA time to set up their gank, or set up their turret dive rather, might not have been the desired outcome, but of course you can't always predict that many members of CGA showing up. Running up on the bot lane of DFM, as still slightly DFM were able to pull a little bit of gold back into their favor, so holding on to it for now, but CGA most part evening things up and getting Arya just that much further ahead, putting himself as a huge threat to this game. Grendel's gonna get found out here on the Leona. I think he's just gone. No flash opportunity available. He will do a little bit of fancy footwork with the E there, trying to get out, but nah, not quite as fancy as Udapon. So he actually lived way longer than expected and did end up costing Nap his life. That will mean that Arya can't teleport up for this. Don't think they're going to be engaging on a 5v4 anytime soon, but if you can make them miss a couple waves in the bot lane, it's not a bad trade-off. Arya able to get a little bit of solo gold as well. So the next Drake is spawning up here, and the rest of the members of CGA are here for it. Infernal Drake will mean we're looking at either Ocean Soul or Mountain Soul on the menus, and those are both souls that are fairly game influencing. Ocean, of course, well known for its overall just potency in this game, or in many games, but in this game specifically for CGA, it would pay dividends. So let's see what it's going to be. It is going to be Ocean Soul. So this is now a moment where CGA think to themselves, okay, we need to try and get this one, because Arya, Nap, and Gango, that is the one thing that will help them along. Is what can be better than going in is being able to stay in and get stuck in just that much harder. DFM are going to make the charge up the mid lane. The siege potential of Caitlyn is still definitely a threat. They're going to be able to force the members of CGA back, grabbing their first turret of the game. While Nap might be in a little bit of a rough spot. He will get spotted out here. He is in the middle of 4 people right now. He's going to try to slice and dice his way to safety as a Tangle Barb's going to miss. A Solar Flare is going to come out, also going to whiff there. But now the chase is on from the members of CGA. Grendel's going to stun up Steel and get the first kill over to his jungler. And now CGA should be able to be in hot pursuit, as Bard's not going to be able to find a stun over the wall there. But there goes Arya. The Shroud is down. He is doing so much damage before dashing back into his smoke screen. That's going to be Saros finding 1. Saros maybe finding 2. Before Gnar is able to pick up that kill, and Saros trades his life for it. Now, overall, CGA with the kill benefit, and they're going to retreat now. 3-2 at the end of that fight. CGA are doing everything they can to try and keep in this one. 5-0-2 on Arya. He is a pretty big threat, I would say, roughly at this point. Now, you know, benefit to Nap, actually. Having the Bork, having that extra HP from early on pays dividends. So far be it from me to tell you what to do, Nap, as that was a large part of the reason he was able to live that long. And this was just kind of DFM getting split up a bit and CGA staying together, as Arya just more than happy to lead the charge there over onto Utapon. Beautiful Pop Blossom, and I don't think Saros quite knew where Arya was when it hit. He was a little bit more focused on the members he could see. He might have been able to knock him down there, but might as well just take the kills you're guaranteed. The shutdown would be nice, but in that scenario, really just picking up pieces at that point, as Unica might be getting picked off here as the ultimate's gonna go in. I don't think Arya can be saving him. Unica's just gonna go down. Let's steal as a kick opportunity. Don't think that was what we wanted, as Arya buffered the R. I think he buffered the R, and it ended up putting him right over a trap from Utapon. And the True Sight comes out. That was a recent or semi-recent update for Akali. We do have a slight pause again once more. We'll wait for that to just kind of get underway. We'll just keep you guys entertained. But that was a note that True Sight does reveal Akali in Shroud now, so things like Caitlyn traps will spot her out. I do believe the second E of Lee Sin will also do that, as well as things like Twisted Fate Ultimate and the like. But that is just a fairly important note for the side of CGA, is you just lost a pretty huge shutdown and 2 kills that DFM were able to just pick off in the side lane. It's a strength of theirs. They've always been fairly decent at picking off side lanes, and to get the wind kind of pulled out of your sails this late into this game, when you haven't even been able to pull a real advantage out, things don't bode well for the side of CGA. But Still plenty of time left to be had.
そうですね。
Thank you again for everyone who is tuning in. I do appreciate you guys stopping by, and we'll get right back into the action here for you.
さあ先ほどユニカとアリアがデートのショーカシミのキャッチから打ち取られたというところからの続きとなります。これでシャットダウンゴールドがスティールに入りましたね。
ドラゴンもう湧きますね。ここは CGA としては絶対戦わなければいけない場面。FM は
And as we're just continuing things along here, DFM still in a fairly confident position, as they do have scaling advantage. That is something you can rely on sieging down in the later end of this game.
通行完成しましたね。
これなら
So opportunity still presents itself here for the side of CGA. It is just
重要になってくると思います。
なるほど。
currently a little bit difficult to try and mount, as
もオーシャンです。
it feels like CGA has not been able to attack the side lanes as proficiently as they'd like.
ドラゴンの空いてる時間帯ですが
And the longer this game goes on, that clock keeps ticking away.
アリア選手、テレポートない中でトップサイドにいるんですよね。
面白いですね。失礼しました。今のスティールは
Well, the next Drake is spawning up here. That's going to be what CGA are really looking at.
これも騙されてしまいましたが。
And likely we might see them fighting over this one, because honestly, at this point, CGA can't afford the time it would take if they give up this Drake to get Soul there afterwards.
なっていますね。
Of course, you know, Soul will always pay for itself whenever it is acquired,
ありますね。こうなるとまあ厳選手
but CGA are slowly starting to just bleed out gold once again, as going forward here, Grendel's gonna turn it on its head as a tempered fate's going to come out,
打ち上げは届いていない。大きなダメージ
followed by the fate's call.
助けます。
But that's gonna be a call onto Grendel. Here comes Eva. He's gonna R the gang go forward out of position, and the team fight from DFM is looking clean, as Udapon's gonna have no ace in the hole on deck, so he can't quite pop anyone down.
交換になっています。
DFM としてはうまくグレー
And it looks like they can just take this extra turret before they turn their attention back towards the Drake. And
その上で
now things are looking a little bit grim, because the thing we've always praised CGA for is their team fighting ability, but DFM have just not been able to make it work.
シャドウを使ったグレーシャルオーグメントのエンゲージも強力ですね。
And I am slightly curious to see to hear if maybe this is a little bit of lag issues or internet throttling on the side of CGA, because there've been a number of pauses, a couple of DCs and reconnects coming out.
もうスティール選手きれいにさばくんですよね。そこからの反応
But the opportunity for Evi just to go all in here with the ultimate. Surprised Evi didn't go for the stun into the wall, but honestly, just pulling Gango out of position was all that was really necessary,
この状況で組み合えば
as Arya is just doing everything he can to try and stay alive here. He kicks him out, but no one to take turret for Udapon there.
さあ DFM
Well, I mean, he can't quite finish that one off, as he's already starting to crest into his Infinity Edge,
ジャポン選手の IE ができれば2000ゴールぐらいですかね。
which will definitely be a huge break point for
ここで
Udapon to really start cracking this open, because then anything that comes off of your traps when you're trying to set up sieges means that much more. And
バードがミカエルを持っているので
teleport coming out onto the top side here. They're looking for a play onto Steel, or
テレポートから
which Steel is it though that they're looking for? Gunblade popped onto him, but now
さあここには
Saros is doing what he can. Pop Blossom's gonna find two at least, as Arya's gonna get out of the way of that one, trying to look for a way back into this fight. As CGA kind of need to commit for this one before Udapon gets there, but right now DFM are just kind of hard winning out on this one. Gonna force CGA into a full retreat unless Gang can find a stun. Flash Q's not gonna hit,
さあメガなタイミング。ただしアルティメットは届く位
as
置ではない
Evi is continuing to look for an ultimate
仕掛けましたが1キロか
if he can find it, but for now DFM just have all the pressure in the world.
使い取ってもう一度トップ
With lanes in a decent state, they can honestly just siege down here.
ケイトリの指示能力が発揮されれば
And there's not a whole lot CGA can really do. You don't even have, or you have Solar Flare, but as it stands, nobody can really go toe-to-toe with the damage that DFM are able to put out right now.
CGA としても
As well as already having all of their ultimates back off of CD, save for Gang.
まあ早め早めに
If a fight does break out, DFM are just as likely to win it as they were before. Unica's walking a little far up here. Nap waiting in the wings, trying to find a teleport opportunity. The ghosties are coming out. DFM are on the chase. Solar Flare is going to find a good stun, but will only buy them so much time as Grendel tries to follow it up. His backline falls. That's going to be Grendel and Unica also going down. Nap trying to do what he can onto Utapon, but the Pop Blossom's going to pop his chances. As now DFM are moving forward. They're going to be able to turn their attention back towards the Baron. As the gold lead is just going up to 7k now, DFM are running away with this one, and this was sort of the risk that CGA knew they were getting themselves into. They were losing too much early, so they tried to all in for that early game comp, sin a little bit, and hopefully find advantage to be able to carry into the later stages, but they just aren't quite able to make it work. And DFM, if you're playing into CGA, you're going to need all the team fight tools you can get. But if CGA are not drafting into the team fight, DFM are just coming up winning in just every execution test of these team fights. It just seems like there's not a whole lot CGA can do. There's just so much disconnected play on their end. As just that entire fight was Gango and Arya just struggling to find any value. As the next Ocean Drake is going to be coming up here. We might be in for a little while longer of a game if DFM decide to wait out for each Ocean Drake to get to Soul, which wouldn't be too unbecoming of them. But we'll see if CGA have anything to say about it, as they're going to try to force their way in here. A little bit of damage already on to Unica. Steel thinking about taking that one in. He has GA, so honestly, Steel has full potential to just send it on a kick play. Snap's going to be sending it right onto Utapon. He's doing what damage he can, but the Pop Blossom's going to stunt up that front line. While the Tempered Fate's going to find the way onto Gango. He'll be going down here as Nar's going to be able to pick up that kill. The chase is on. Evi not quite going to find the ultimate onto Unica after burning his flash, but they can just continue sieging with Baron. Still a minute on the clock as a Pop Blossom is, or excuse me, the Tangle Barb is going to land there onto Grendel. He should just be able to solo him out here. And this might be all she wrote for CGA. You're going to need to make it count here, but there's only 2 members left to fight off every member of DFM, as they're going to knock down one of the Nexus turrets. Second one soon to follow. 40 seconds on that Baron timer. CGA are responding, so if they want to mount a defense, they're going to need to do it now. Nap is going to try and defend the last turret, but it's going to fall, and he's going to fall shortly after. Going golden will only buy him so much time, as the shots are going to ring out from Utapon. Right now, DFM are just coming out victorious. They're saying that they want their playoff chances, and they're going to make it work. They're going to find the ace in the end, as DFM are going to take the series 3-1 over CGA. Honestly, great stuff to DFM for being able to pull out a win here today. It was a little bit worrying from their early on summer split, but this game has fairly convinced me that this is a different DFM than what we've seen in the past. This is not the DFM that that we know so well. This is a DFM that is ready to come out on top, to swing, and in a lot of these games has been showing that the strats they've prepared, the drafts they've prepared, are going to work for them time and time again. So DFM going to be taking this one home. For CGA, you can't be too upset. They had a great performance throughout the regular split. They did end up beating out Hawks Gaming to get here, but they will fall in the end, as Are we seeing DFM return to being the titans of the LJL that they were for so long before? We're seeing shadows of their former selves coming back, and honestly, I could not be happier for DFM to be looking this way, as it will only breed better competitions. Your final 3 teams are decided. V3 are going to be sitting in first seed, waiting in grand finals. Next week, or excuse me, two weeks from now, we are going to have DFM taking on Sengoku Gaming, and the winner of that will be moving on to finals. If you guys are interested in following along with the LJL Summer Split Playoffs, you can leave a follow down here. I am Dr. No. I do all English broadcasting for the LJL. I will be doing this all the way through the season, so if you guys are interested, or if you guys just like hearing the sound of my voice, I apologize, it is a little bit strained as yesterday's matches, then going into today's matches. I do all of these solo, I run a solo operation, so you guys showing up and supporting honestly means the absolute world to me. All of that being said though, guys, thank you again for tuning in. We will be back after a bit. I will hopefully have a little bit more content on the way for you guys. In the meantime, I want to do a little bit of VOD review on some of these matches, so you can leave a follow on my Twitter if you guys want to get action on that. But this will be Dr. No signing off.